The issue is law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, government, or national security. Brannon brings the issues of the day into clear focus through the lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon Howse.
And welcome to the broadcast. On this November 13th, 2025, take a look at this map right here, folks. Sudan. Look at this map and look at its relationship right up next to Egypt in the north, Saudi Arabia off to the right, and Ethiopia, South Sudan. Look at that, folks. Libya to the top left on the map. You know what's happening in Sudan tonight? You know about all the Christians being hunted down and murdered? Not being talked about a lot. Do you know the sides that are involved? And what is the warning to Americans? It's just another country that's going to be taken over by the Islamists. And where is America on this? We hear all the talk of the genocide in Gaza by the Jews killing people. Of course, we know a lot of that's just absolute propaganda. They've done everything they can to get the people out of the way, warning them, get out of the way. But there's real genocide going on in Sudan. I'll play some videos tonight that'll break your heart, but it's a warning to America because Islam is literally marching around the world. Anni Cyrus with a very, very important report tonight. Here it is. Sudan's silent world war. A proxy bloodbath. Nobody's watching. You might say, why do you keep having her on so much? Because quite frankly, she's doing some of the best reporting out there, and her Substack is becoming one of the top Substacks in the country because she's breaking stories and covering things very few people are covering. And so she's back tonight. Trevor Loudon is going to join us because look at this. Meet Mamdani's newly named chief of staff, the secretive Democrat Socialist of America operative who helped craft his lefty platform. What do you know about the Democrat Socialists of America? We've talked about them so many times over the years, but we have so many new people. And it's always good to rehearse things, to be reminded, because there's so many groups, so many agendas. So we'll do a little history on the DSA, who they are, when they started, who are some of the people in Congress aligned to them, and who is likely to be running for president for the Democrats. Oh, I think we can definitely say Gavin Newsom. But what about AOC, and what are her odds against Gavin Newsom? We'll ask some of that to Trevor Loudon tonight. Also, Chicagoans do not want us to bankroll the regime. Apparently, some of these folks are so angry, so leftist, they're willing to collapse governments, local governments, city governments, pensions on purpose. And I want to ask Trevor that tonight. Are some of these folks are they going to bankrupt some of these cities on purpose? Here's another one, Washington Examiner. Seattle socialist rides Mamdani wave to win mayoral election as city sees large progressive shift. Brand new article out tonight, November 13th. Oh, she's a leftist, all right. I think I have an article where she's talking about, here we go. Seattle's new socialist mayor goes full communist. Says she won't allow private grocery stores to close. Ooh, socialism, Islam, they're partners. Remember the Carlos the Jackal, the Islamist. America cannot be brought down unless there's a coalition between the Marxist and the Islamist. So we're going to cover some of that tonight. Why don't you tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, True Social. Spread the word for folks to join us here at Worldview Tube. Check this out. Brand new book coming out tomorrow. Remember my book on Hamas came out a couple weeks ago that I've been working on since 2019. I finally got it out. This is also my movie Siege from 2019. This book will be, I think it's going to be about over 100 pages, about 100 pages, right, Logan? Siege, the clear and present dangers pushing America to the brink of a Marxist Islamic revolution, civil war, World War III, and globalism. Now, remember, this documentary came out in December of 2019. And I finally am turning it into a book. It has a ton of history in it. And here's the good news. You do not have to buy it. It's going to be 84 pages. The good news, see, you can read that in one sitting, guys. It has so much history in it. Lots and lots of history you need to know. And the tactics of the Marxist and the Islamist and the globalist. And you don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy my book Hamas on Hamas. You don't have to buy my book on Siege. Because guess what? Guess what? If you're a member of the Vault, it's automatically in there. Worldviewtube.com/vault. Worldviewtube.com/vault. And hopefully, right after Thanksgiving, maybe before, but hopefully right after Thanksgiving at the latest, my brand new commentary on the book of Revelation, as I just finished that 53 lesson study. Took me a year and a half, verse by verse. And that commentary and study guide will be available in the Vault as well. So you don't need to buy that. That one's going to be 200 pages plus, but you do not need to buy that one either. It will be in the Vault. Worldviewtube.com/vault. Worldviewtube.com/vault. Then after that, my book on my documentary from 2018, Sabotage, will go in there. Again, a lot of history. There's so much we're adding into that Vault. Why are you not a member? You can join for as little as $7.99 a month, $99.99 a month. It's all there. All the various programs and plans. Worldviewtube.com/vault. Now, what's going to be close now to 36 years of ebooks, audiobooks, documentaries, 22 years of the Worldview Weekend national conferences that were filmed. They're in there. Why would you not want to be a member? We're going to be adding and continuing to add so many things for Vault members as our way of saying thank you for being a member, and make sure we have one place where our life's work is archived. Worldviewtube.com/vault. Worldviewtube.com/vault. Speaking of lifetime of work and archiving, let's see. First picture of Brandon and Melissa. Did I show them that, Logan? I think I have. You can show him that one, or I have it on my phone. Let me send it to myself. This is the first picture that Melissa and I ever had taken together. The first picture we ever had taken together. This would have been in the spring of 1989. Spring of 1989. I love history, as you guys all know, right? But I also love family history. And I've been putting together a lot of albums that not only detail Melissa and I together, our meeting, dating, getting married. I have an album that is also full of pictures of my mom's family and then my dad's family, because I love history. And so I'm organizing all of this so that so that I have it to enjoy, but also so the kids have it, preserve that. And I don't know, maybe you're like me if you like history. The older you get, the more you want to look back over your life because it's going so fast, right? Going so fast. And I don't know, you can do a lot of things in life. You can write books. You can do radio and television. Some of you guys have built and gals have built businesses, and some of you are very gifted carpenters and electricians and plumbers, and you've accomplished a lot of great things. But as you get older, one of the things you're the most proudest of is obviously your children and grandchildren. And one of the things that brings you a lot of satisfaction is looking back on those pictures. I don't know, maybe some of you do, I know aren't like that. You could care less. I know. There's a personality, and some people have it, some people don't, that just love history, and they're kind of nostalgic. They're kind of prone to looking back and really enjoying looking back over history. And I don't think a lot of young people appreciate history. And if I could give advice to young people, take a lot of pictures, and don't take stupid pictures. Take good pictures and print them out because you're going to lose phones and all these great digital pictures, put them in a format where you can easily sit down and go through them. You'll love it. And a lot of you older folks know exactly what I'm saying, right? I talked to a friend of mine the other day who's 92, and I was telling him how much I'm enjoying putting these photo albums together, and he's 92, and he says, well, I have a dining room table full of them because he and his wife just celebrated, their anniversary. I can't remember how many years it was, 75 or 70, whatever it was, and 70, I think, and he was talking about how much he enjoys it. And this guy has accomplished quite a bit in his life. But when he looks back over his kids and grandkids and now great-grandkids, that's what's giving him a lot of the most enjoyment and pleasure and sense of accomplishment, looking back over the history of his family. So anywho, I'm putting together these books because I want to have all this preserved in one place. And I'm shocked at the pictures that we've misplaced, can't find. And I'm finding negatives. And I got a device where I can actually then bring those into digital and then print them out. And so I'm thankful. Some of the negatives I've stumbled on, I'm like, whoa, I haven't seen. My wife and I just found a ton of our honeymoon pictures that I haven't seen in years. We don't have printed out, I guess, the physical pictures. We've lost them or something, but I stumbled on the negatives. Well, there was a picture that I've been looking for a long time. It was the first picture Melissa and I ever had taken together of both of us, okay? And we found it this morning, stumbled on it this morning. I knew what frame it was in. I knew what kind of, I could picture the frame in my mind's eye. I knew the picture. I knew the outfit she was wearing. I kept saying to her, where is the picture of you and I together where you're wearing that little sailor's outfit? And she was like, I don't know. So she stumbled on it today, found it, and I'm very happy. Here it is. This is the first picture ever taken of Melissa and myself. Can you believe how young we were? And it feels like yesterday. There you go. There you go. The first picture of us ever taken together in the spring of 1989. So that's going in the photo album. Then I have a photo album that's Melissa from the time she's born, literally picture of her in the hospital, all the way forward to today, an album full of all kinds of her first grade, second grade, third grade picture, all of that stuff, high school, everything, college. So she's got a photo album. And then I have one of me. I should have brought it to the desk tonight. I have one of me, and it's got my birth certificate in there. I was 4 pounds and 11 ounces. Can you believe that, Logan? Well, that was a long response, dude. You don't know what a big baby is and a small baby is? Well, if you got a 9 pound baby, that's a pretty healthy child. 4 pounds, 11 ounces is a pretty small baby. I was premature, had island membrane pneumonia. But here I am. But I've got my little album with my birth certificate, my little feet, the stamp on my feet. And then my kindergarten report card, all kinds of stuff, and a lot of handwriting. I'll bring it to the desk one night. And I get dyslexia, as you guys know. I don't write backwards anymore, but I did. And I have the picture. I have the handwriting to prove I wrote backwards. But I've got a photo album of all these different things. And I've got letters that were sent to me by my great uncle, my grandfather, all kinds of my great aunt who died when she was like 100. I've got a letter sent to me by James Dobson. I've got a letter sent to me by all kinds of different people over the years. Michael Reagan. I've got all kinds of pictures as well as letters, cards from people. Anyway, I'm a pack rat when it comes to anything that's historical. So I shove it away and then I can't remember where I put it. And then I stumble on it. I'm like, look at that. And some of this stuff I've been looking for a long, long time. I was looking for one picture of my outdoor concert series in the Twin Cities I led for years. I've been looking for that for probably 15 years. And I thought, well, they're gone. I've lost them. And wouldn't you know, I stumbled on those in a box in the attic not too long ago. So I'm trying to get it all organized in one place. But there you go. The first picture ever of your mother and I together, Logan. Still a very long response. Still no response. Are you asleep in there tonight, Logan? He has no interest in his old man's show tonight, apparently. He says he's cutting clips. He's busy. He's what's that called? Multitasking in there. He's producing this show and cutting clips and listening for key words. All right, whatever that means. Aren't you glad your mom and dad got together? Because Logan, you wouldn't be here otherwise. Obviously. Yeah. Do I look like you or do I look like your older brother there? No, I think I look more like you right there. A lot of people think I look more like you in that picture. But I have some that people cannot tell if it's my oldest son or me. They're like, who is that? Is that you or your oldest son? They cannot. It's crazy scary. I mean, even I have to do a double take. Is that me or is that him? But then in some other pictures, it looks just like Logan. I think that looks a lot like you, Logan. And a lot of people said the same thing. People are sending in emails how you're great you're doing on your TV shows, Logan. And they're also talking about what a nice looking young man you are. Well, now they realize where you got your looks from, Logan. From your mother and your father. Why are you laughing? That's not a joke. You obviously got your looks from your mother and father. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, that's what you call good breeding right there, my friend. I think, right? Look what we produced. Logan, you see him. Huh? Good genes. Yeah. Yeah, that's a Sweeney commercial, right? You're not starting to start doing gene commercials, are you, Logan? All right. Well, there you go. That is the first picture ever taken of Melissa and I. Yep. You know that ring she's got on her hand there where she's got her hand up on my shoulder? I think that it's either that ring or the one on the other hand. She still wears that ring. That was her mother's ring. Her mother gave it to her in high school. She's worn it since high school, and she still wears it. They're almost 35 years of marriage, and your mom's still wearing the same ring when I was dating her. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. I love that outfit. I asked her, why do they not make that for women anymore? They make it for kids, but I love that outfit. I've asked her for years. Can you not find another outfit like that? That's cute. But anyway, there you go. All right, enough of that, I guess. Do the old family slideshow tonight, Logan. Numbers are probably dropping like a stone right now, right? It's like huh? No, they're not. People are interested in this, right? All right, we're going to get going here. But folks, remember how to support us. worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. But I'm telling you right now, one of the greatest ways you can support us is just go get a Vault membership at worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. You get so much for your money. It's crazy. We should really raise the price, but I have no interest in doing that because I want to make it affordable. But you are totally getting way more than you're paying for. You're getting an amazing deal here when you join the Vault. It's really, it's so much. It's a 36 years worth of work. So you'll never watch it all, but you can certainly try. And for the dollar figure, $7.99 a month or $9.99 a month, you're supporting us and getting a lot of great stuff, including my new book on Hamas, my new book on siege, or sabotage will be out tomorrow, and then the Revelation series and study coming real soon. So please join now. It's a great way to support us. worldviewtube.com/vault. All right, tweet, text, email, Facebook, get our Truth Social, spread the word. Let's get started. Joining me now is Anni Cyrus. She has several new articles out. We're going to be breaking some news here, I think, tonight. But for those who think that Iran, they live in the dark ages and they're so far behind, Anni dispels that today over at livefreedom.substack.com. Take a look at this video here, guys. This is in Iran. Here she is on her website, Anni, saying, Iran showcases Mr. and Miss Data, humanoid at Tech Expo. You guys will see this and hear it? Here we go. Looks pretty real, doesn't it?
سلام خوبی؟
من خوبم. تو چه؟
اسمتون چیه؟
من میس دیتا هستم.
میس دیتا؟
میس دیتا.
کارت چیه؟
من یک داده هستم و در فضای دیجیتال زندگی میکنم. فضایی به نام بلاکچین.
میتونی لبخند بزنی؟
متاسفم من هنوز نمیتونم این کار انجام بدم.
All right,
کارایی چیه؟
bring the sound down and just watch it. Let's talk to Anni while we watch it. because I don't understand words she's saying. I bet you do, though. Annie, what is she saying?
Miss Data. She's a robot with her husband living in the house. That you'll see the husband coming up here soon. The reporter asked her if she can smile, and she said, "I'm sorry, that is not one of my abilities," but I thought, tragically, it was funny. The female Islamic robot cannot smile and wears the hijab. Comes the husband, that is Mr. Data, coming, who has more ability than her, interesting, actually. He can do lifting. She cannot. But the two of them together can function through each other's data, meaning they transmit the data between the robotic brain data they have both. So basically, Iran is moving forward with building families of robots.
Okay, now forgive me if I'm skeptical. Are you sure those aren't human beings
I am
posing and
positive.
pretending to be robots?
No, they are both. Well, the entire show was about revealing the new robots, and I've seen more of the videos, and I have talked to a few of the people who did the reporting. They are robots. I know. The first I saw, I kept staring at her eyes. I'm like, "You're gonna blink. You're gonna blink."
I know. I
You're
kept
gonna
waiting
blink.
for that exactly.
No, they are robots.
And Logan's saying in there, they look so real. They absolutely look so real. And
They
he
do,
looks,
and that's the
And he
thing.
looks so real. Look at him.
And that's the thing, though. You see, we constantly, most Americans are like, "Oh, Iran are the mullahs who sit on the floor and they're, have a hole in their sock." No, there are brains in Iran. The same brains that are working on nuclear weapons are the same brains working on these robots. And they're also, we see in reports the ability of their hackers, the ability of their systems, and now they're showing off the ability of their robots. How long until they have robot soldiers? That's a question. How many of these robots are going to end up being jihadists? Are the question.
Yeah. How many of them are going to end up being jihadists?
Exactly.
Man, scary. All right, let's go to some breaking news by Annie tonight at Live Up to Freedom. Here it is, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. By the way, you're well, let me before we go there, your Substack, by the way, is like skyrocketed, right, in popularity. Is that right?
Yes. I'm very humbled.
Try not smiling. Try not smiling when you're talking about this. Okay.
I can't. First of all, I'm so grateful for everybody who's moving over. And also, I'm very happy because this means people want to know the truth.
Yes.
There are millions of users and writers on Substack, but as of this morning, I started ranking on top 50, to be exact, number 43 bestseller writer on Substack.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, huge part of it is to you and your audience, because you are literally, outside of myself, you're the only one who's promoting my Substack. So
Wow.
I appreciate that.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Well, let's talk about something else. Last night we had Mark Mitchell on, and Mark Mitchell, and we're going to get to this, folks. Breaking news: Sudan's silent war, a proxy bloodbath nobody's watching, and there's going to be another breaking Substack tomorrow. So we're going to get to this. This is breaking news here. But last night I had on Mark Mitchell. Mark Mitchell said last night that this is the lead pollster at Rasmussen. He's watching it. He's doing a lot of talk with the grassroots, with direct messaging. And he says he believes that President Trump will be impeached after the midterms, once the Republicans take over. And that he said last night, Mark Mitchell, the Republicans may very well join in. So he could be impeached in the House, convicted in the Senate, and removed from office, or impeached in the House. And then the Republican leadership goes to him like they did Nixon and say, they got the votes to convict you in the Senate. You need to leave. And he gets on board Air Force One and leaves town. J.D. Vance becomes president. He's able to run for president while being president, and the tech bros can run him against Newsom. Who knows, right? And I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. But now we have Mark Mitchell talking about the Republicans helping to impeach him. Let's see now. Wait a minute. It was in July. Someone by the name of Anni Cyrus came on the program and said, don't be shocked if President Trump ends up being impeached in 2026. Interesting the things we talk about here ahead of everybody else. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One reason is because we've been doing this a long time. We study worldviews, philosophies. We cover all topics, right? We cover a huge swath of topics, whereas most people just concentrate on a few. We cover a huge swath of topics. We understand worldviews and values and how many of them are synchronizing together. But the other reason we're able to do that when others either cannot or won't is because they don't want to talk about these things if they know them, because they want to be a part of the club. They want to make sure that they're getting into the White House. They're getting the right interviews. They don't want to upset their base. And what have we been telling you guys for a long time? We're here to tell you the truth. And if you don't like it and you can't handle the truth, you don't have to watch. But we're not going to self-censor to appease people, either appease the audience or to appease, people that are donors, or to appease people who are potential guests, or people who are more aligned with the administration, or getting our press passes into the White House, which we were happy to do back in the spring. But we're not going to be controlled. And I know the majority of our audience, the majority of our supporters, they agree with it. That's why our numbers are going up, up, up. That's why your Substack numbers are going up, up, up. They want a network that says, we're not playing that game. We're going to tell the truth. That's one reason why we're always ahead of so many other people. Sometimes they don't know these things, so you can't report what you don't know. But some of it is they don't want to say it. They don't want to say it until it's comfortable, or people have been more conditioned for it, right? Or when it becomes more obvious. Our goal is predicting trends and telling people what's coming so they can prepare accordingly, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially. So here we are. Now you have the social media world swamped with people saying, I'm done, MAGA's collapsed, President Trump is now no longer America first, he better correct course fast, he's going to get, lose big time in the midterms, be impeached maybe. Well, I just want to explain to our audience, Annie, how it is that we get ahead of everybody else. And a lot of it is because we choose to say what others don't want to say until it's safe to say it. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, 100%. We are, number one, we're committed to the truth, as you said. And as you have said many times on your program, we're hoping, Lord willing, we're going to be here way past any of these administrations and presidents and vice presidents. So our commitment is to our audience, to our readers, to our subscribers, rather than a party, left or right or middle, doesn't matter. The second thing is, as you said, you've done this for so long that it's hard for you not to see the writing on the wall. For me, I come from a background that my job was to read between the lines. I always say I hear what's not being said rather than what's being said. You put those two together, yes, it's always ahead. Everything we've been reporting has been ahead of its time. And as you said, sometimes, if you remember, I received the highest number of backlash, including demonetizing my Facebook on a coordinated attack by MAGA members, because I was the first one to come early on. He was thrown in end of January. In month of April, I came out and said, he's not the same president you were expecting. April until today, gradually, now majority are saying, well, you were right. I didn't want to be right, but I see the pattern. And in my case, I have a switch on, switch off on my emotion. I can easily see that I cannot hold on hope to a single person anymore. And I just turn it off. Then facts start pouring. You can't deny it.
Yep. Well, it's running fast. It's running fast. All right, let's go to this.
And also, to quick note, connecting the dots about President Trump's situation wasn't hard. How J.D. Vance name dropped on his lap, how he picked him, who he is, he being J.D. It's pretty easy to see that this was coordinated. This wasn't about Trump coming back, not from Trump's end, from those around Trump. This wasn't about Trump coming back and fixing the country. It had nothing to do with that. That's what J.D. Vance stands no chance alone to become the president anytime soon. The only way to get J.D. to sit on that seat is to impeach who's the president, and then legally, automatically, J.D. takes the seat.
And then he can run for president as president. And we'll see how that goes. But I have to tell you,
If there is an election after JD takes the seat.
well,
Remember this one?
Yeah. Well, with that being said, I mean, it seems like we have so many existential threats coming at us. And here was, I guess this is today, the Secretary of War changing the name of the Pentagon from the Department of Defense to the Department of War, and they're excited about it. I don't know why anyone would be excited about this, why they'd be making a big deal about this. Here we go. Here we go. Folks, how many more signs? How many more signs do they need to give you that we're going to war? Gordon Chang last night, when I asked him, where is World War III likely to start? He said, here on American soil. Likely to start here on American soil. The red-green axis. Annie, why would you be saying, here we go, and excited to be called the Department of War? I thought this whole administration was about keeping the peace and not going to war. I mean, you notice it's kind of schizophrenic? I mean, you notice you wake up every day, you're like, where are we going? Which direction? It's just like flip-flop, flip-flop. I think that's by design, to be honest with you. I think they are trying to keep the American people off balance. I don't know to what end. I can speculate.
Well, we both can, but the base of psychology says one of the best ways to hold people on their toes is create confusion.
Yep.
And also one of the best ways to continue keeping power of any sort is to keep people confused. When you confuse them,
and afraid.
Exactly. When you confuse them between you're their hero or you might be their downfall, every time you make this smallest, tiniest gesture of good, your heroism becomes bigger to them. So when you go and, let's say, have al-Sharaa in White House, they kind of get a little less upset with you because day before you did something that they desperately thought would save their life. And now we're throwing the stimulus checks out there. I guess now it's okay, though before it wasn't. It is by design, Brannon. However, though I criticize him all day long, I don't think this part of design Trump is involved in.
What do you mean?
I don't think Trump is part of this flip-flop narrative by other departments. I don't. Because Trump is very solid on his plan to receive that peace prize.
So are you telling me they're gonna drag President Trump to war?
No, I have a feeling that President Trump won't be the president by the time the war starts. That's what I think.
So you think the war probably starts in 2026 after he's been impeached and JD becomes commander-in-chief?
Well, the World War III. The last time I was on your show, I actually told your audience a paid Substack is coming up next day of last time I was on, and it is on my Substack, where I reminded people of a warning we missed about World War III and my thoughts on have we crossed the line or not. So not to give too much, hopefully those who haven't signed up and read it yet, go do it, but World War III has started already. In the format, we were warned of how it's going to be starting. Now, the flames are going to be shown in America after President Trump is impeached, and J.D. Vance, especially if he comes in and not see the support he's hoping to win re-election, then we're going to need to see flames. And by flames, I mean gunfires and bombs and military action. That's what I mean.
Inside the U.S.
Inside the U.S. or our troops in Venezuela, our troops in Pakistan, our troops in Iran, you name it.
Well,
but most likely
our troops in the Gaza. We're building a $500 million base in Gaza and going to send troops there, which I'm totally opposed to.
Well, we're sending troops to Syria as well. Remember, Jelani himself said it on his interview with Fox News. And President Trump is sending troops to Syria as well. So it could be, it depends on popularity. Where is Vance with his popularity? How well are Americans accepting him replacing Trump? Then the decision goes from there. Where are they going to see the flames? Are we going to see the buildings blowing up in America to send our troops to Iran and Pakistan? Because those are the new enemies that are being built up. No, they have always been enemies, but I'm saying they are being verbalized now. Or are we going to send our troops to help al-Jolani deliver Jolani's promise to Saudi Arabia? That's the thing. The today's Substack is, the whole point is to try to help my fellow humans, especially because today I realize I actually have a lot of subscribers and readers from Europe, some from Africa to my surprise, but my fellow humans to understand what you see is it's the simplified versions they feed you. Things are way more complicated. There are way more moving parts into what you see every day. That's why I decided to go and touch on something that no one, I promise you, do a deep dive into any search. No one has broken down what is happening in Sudan in two parts the way I did.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's remind people first, where is Sudan? Take a look at this map. Okay, so Sudan is just south of Egypt. Okay, you see Saudi Arabia over there to the far right, Egypt at the top of the page, north, and then Sudan. And
Libya to the left.
Libya to the left, then South Sudan at the bottom. So there you go, just to give an idea of what's going on. Now, why is this battle being fought? Let's go back to her Substack. She describes some of it in her Substack here. You say, but now it's time to pull back the curtain because Sudan is not just a humanitarian crisis, it's a proxy war bought and paid for by Islamic regimes, rogue states, and U.S.-backed allies who are all fighting for a piece of the Horn of Africa. The entire region has turned Sudan into a military marketplace, and no one in Washington seems interested in telling the truth. Instead, we're all being fed the same two lies, that this is not an international conflict and that no one can stop it. All right. Tell us about this, because I don't think most Americans know that anything's going on in Sudan.
So for back history, about a week ago, I released a Substack. It was titled "Sudan is Bleeding Alone," because exactly, nobody's talking about Sudan. On that Substack, I told you what's happening day to day on the ground, which is Arab Muslims of Sudan killing non-Arabs, including Muslims, Christians, Jews, you name it. If you're not an Arab, you're being killed. That's what you see on the ground. That's what you find out if you search. They will tell you, well, some will tell you Muslims killing non-Muslims. Some, like me, will tell you that Arabs are killing non-Arabs. So it's literally the real genocide is in Sudan. If you're not an Arab Muslim, you're dead. Even if you're a non-Arab Muslim, they will kill you. That's what's on the ground. That's what's happening. The conflict, if you look at our reports from our government to our media, they will tell you that this is an internal conflict where there are two sides from Sudan fighting each other after the coup d'etat, after the fall of the barbaric Muslim leader of Sudan. One side is the Sudan military, led by a very aggressive general. The other side is a militia of Sudanese who call themselves the RSF, Rapid Sudan Forces. That's supposed to be the good guys. But then I broke it down, Brennan. Each side is not fighting on their own. They're not. Each one has a sponsors, and I mean financial sponsor, weaponry sponsor, training sponsor on the grounds. And each side of them have countries, not to give too much, but you have Iran on the list. Iran is supporting the actual Sudan military through weapons and training. Second country coming up, Turkey, on the side of Iran, doing the same thing for Sudan military. Let me break one myth right here. Brandon, how many times have we heard that we are becoming friends with Turkey because Erdogan doesn't like Iran?
Yeah, but Turkey and Iran are clearly aligned.
They are aligned, fighting together in Sudan. I'm not going to give the rest.
And the goal, why is Sudan so important? A lot of times it's either over waterways or it's over minerals. What is it? What is it in Sudan that's so important?
two things. One, Sudan neighbors 7 borders
All right, let's look at the map again.
in Africa.
All right.
In Africa, there are 7 border countries with Sudan, which makes it very central when you have 7 border. Now, you got Libya. We all know the situation in Libya and a foothold Iran has in Libya. You have South Sudan, which, again, you have a lot of Qatari influences there. You also have, as you said, it's not bordered. However, it is through connection to Saudi Arabia. The second reason for Sudan, there is a tremendous amount of untapped gold and oil in Sudan.
Tremendous amount of gold and oil in
Untapped.
Untapped in Sudan.
Yes.
Now, is our military after that?
Nope. That is where it gets very interesting. On all my research, United States of America, for whatever reason, has decided to leave these countries, quickly dropping names: Iran, Turkey, Russia, China, Emirat, what do you call it?
United Arab Emirates?
Yes.
UAE?
UAE, Qatar. U.S. has decided to let them win. Then U.S. will decide which side is going to join. We are playing and that's the thing. We want to talk about protecting people. We want to send aid. Real genocide is happening, but our government decided, how about this? We'll let you fight this. I called it Sudan's World War because there are, based on my report, there are almost 8 countries involved in this war. And 3 out of them, being Russia, China, and Iran, we all know their capabilities, Brannon. And that's another thing, another myth. China is fighting on the side against Iran and Russia. What happened to the alliance of China, Iran, and Russia? China is opposing, China is supporting the Rapid Sudan forces against the military that Iran and Russia are supporting.
And again,
it's all a myth.
And they're after the oil and the untapped oil and gold.
Yes. Yes. And again, the location, I think in English you say geographical advantages. That's there. That no question, that is there. On top of that, there is tremendous amount of untapped gold and oil.
All right, let's look at what this is looking like. If you just put Sudan into a search engine. Okay, I'm going to do this. I don't know what's going to pop up, but I just put it into a search engine. I recognize some of these guys that are posting this. A Christian family pleads with Islamists not to kill them in Sudan. Every single one was executed. Where's the outrage? That was November 6th of this year. In Sudan, smiling Islamists record themselves shouting Allah Akbar as the camera pans to reveal hundreds of dead civilians lying behind them. Where's the outrage?
The video you're showing, by the way, this is the military side. This is the side that Iran and Turkey and Russia are supporting. I can't tell them apart from one side to another, but this is the official military that finished and achieved the coup d'etat in 2019 and took over and started the genocide. By the way, this didn't start in November. This didn't start in January. This conflict has been going on since 2019 to today.
And you just don't hear hardly anything about it.
Unless I sit there for weeks and dig and get information out, yes.
Why is the media ignoring this?
Because that conflict does not suit our narrative under any president. It didn't suit us under, again, I repeat, 2019. That was Trump 1, right? 2019. It didn't fit that narrative. It didn't fit Biden narrative. It doesn't fit today's Trump narrative. How does our media come out and say a military Arab Muslim group is committing genocide? What do we say about Gaza then? No, we can't do that. And again, even those who are reporting it are kind of misinforming. On my report, on my original, Sudan is bleeding alone, which was last week, I did the first part to get people's attention to the actual war. Then the second one is an expose of, don't think these are a bunch of Sudanese killing each other. It's way beyond that. On the first one, I did specifically mention this as an Arab Muslim versus non-Arab Muslims. A lot of people who are being killed are also Muslims. And that is the point that needs to be made here. Why would Turkey, under Erdogan, with Turkish and Kurdish race of people, fund a military of Arab Muslims who are killing non-Arab Muslims? Because Erdogan don't care if you're an Arab Muslim or a non-Arab Muslim. He wants access to that country. And now we're selling Erdogan F-35. What happens if some of these F-35s ends up in Sudan, Brannon?
And why is Turkey killing Muslims?
Oh, Turkey. Well, again, Turkey is not. Turkey is one of the funders, one of the supports behind the Arab Muslim military killing. You know, as I said, because Erdogan wants access to that country. In meantime, if a bunch of Muslims, non-Arab Muslims, need to die, so be it.
So be it. All right. Is this footage legit? Is this footage legit?
الفرنجات بالفجر يا جماعه دي اللي عميزه انت قومي كنت تقدري قومي كنت تقدري قومي كنت تقدري انا والله شيف انا زمن معي ولعب كثير معي.
Yes, that's their uniform.
يا زول شيف احنا اثنين بس او نصر او شهاد انا جاي نبل او موت جوا القياده.
Oh, you're kidding.
That is mistranslation. He just said for us, it's either victory or jihad. Not death, jihad. Jihad isn't death. I'm sorry, that should have been correctly translated. But yes, that is their uniform, Brannon. I don't know when the date is.
تتخرج تمشين ما في لك مشي ما في مشي تمشين يا زلمه انتم داخلين الفاجر شنو؟ داخلين شنو اجل ارفع صوتك دقيق وانت مدخل شنو؟ مكرونه وانت ها؟ زول شايل امداد ومدخل الفاجر الفرقه وزال ابو الداي نحن ما لنا وبينها الا الدخيل. تماما هوي دقيقه اضرب زي الناس يا زول اضرب زي الناس دقيقه يا جماعه في مواطن هنا؟ فيكم مواطن؟ قولوا خير يا جماعه داري مواطن واحد كده يا ما تباركوها يا خلاص
There's so much evil in this world.
And somehow, one way or another, it always connects itself to Islam and Islamic nations, doesn't it?
And these people they're killing, any idea who those people in that video were? I mean, what,
No.
Christians, Muslims?
There was no mention or any identification I could, but at some point, again, the translation was incorrect, saying kill that black guy, but it was the Ajems, meaning non-Arab. That is the word they use for, like, I'm an Ajem when it comes to Arab word, because I'm not an Arab. That's what he refers to them, not that black guy.
Yeah.
They're black. They're all black. But the proper translation was identified as non-Arabs. Shoot those non-Arabs.
Okay, so they're not Arabs, so shoot and kill the non-Arabs. And the goal for
Yes.
killing, why would they not take these people as slaves? Why would they not take them as workers?
No, it's a cleansing. They are to clean. Well, the Sudan forces of the military that completed the coup d'etat, their plan is to cleanse Sudan of non-Arab Muslims.
So just like Egypt was take over and get rid of the Coptic Christians as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just another example of Islam coming in and taking over a country and making
Yes.
sure they're the majority.
Exactly. And
Sudan has not historically been majority Muslim, right?
No. Historically, no. But now it is.
Watch this report.
But
Yeah?
go ahead.
Here we go.
But I was just going to emphasize on the fact that when I talk about Islamic supremacy by Arabs, a lot of people tell me, like, I know Persians and Arabs have a long hatred for each other. It's not, I don't hate anyone, people. There is such a thing as Islamic Arab supremacy. Muhammad was the Arab Muslim who started it, just saying. That's your proof.
Watch this.
You've heard every influencer cry about Gaza, but have you heard a single one talk about the Christians getting slaughtered right now in Sudan? Complete families, mothers and children, getting hung and executed by the same sort of terrorists that have harmed Israeli civilians on 9/11 to Americans or to the Hindus in India. You can literally see the blood from space. Candace Owens, quiet as a duck. Tucker Carlson, Qatar's lapdog, doesn't give a The same people who pretend to defend Christianity suddenly, oh, they don't have a voice when the killers aren't Jews. Why? Because there's no Israel to blame. So there's no profitable outrage, is there? There's no fancy trips to Qatar, is there, Tucker? Those are Christians dying for their faith. If a child is killed in Sudan today had been in Gaza, it would have been on every podcast tomorrow. Theo Vaughn would have cried. But since they can't weaponize it against the Jews, they just scroll right past it, don't they?
Exactly.
100%
Now, I would also add, and again, I understand they're not doing it on purpose, but they just don't have the access I do. But they are dying for their faith and their race. That is even more brutal. You can be a Muslim in Sudan. If you're not an Arab, they will still kill you. Yes, they will kill more Christians and few atheists. But it's the Arabs cleaning the whole country. And then these are the things, sometimes Brian and I come on your show and I might seem extremely overwhelmed and upset with Trump. And I do the report and you're like, okay, it wasn't that major, but I'm working on these kind of stuff behind the scene, knowing the number one name on the support and funding of the military of Sudan right now is Egypt. It's Egypt. And Trump goes and does the whole big giant peace summit in Egypt. They're laughing in our faces. And I refuse to believe, if I have access to this information, are you telling me our government doesn't? You scroll through my Substack, I have details. Who's giving whom what, how much, what kind of weapons, what kind of training. There's Egypt, there's Turkey, there's Iran, there's Russia.
I want you to look at the screen, folks. Look at that mother with her 3 children.
They were killed.
Yep, here we go. The internet's full of it.
Yeah, but as he said, I'll mention again, find one big account. It's those of us with 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 followers.
وعند الله تجتمع الخصوم وعند الله تجتمع الخصوم
وعند الله تجتمع الخصوم
إنما يا رب
والفكر حار صبا
وعند الله تجتمع الخصوم وعند الله تجتمع الخصوم.
What do you know about that? Anything?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What do you know about that? What we just saw?
About what?
They're running them over. What is the guy saying?
Oh, it's a song. Well, it is a song they're playing. It's a jihadist song.
Oh, so that's not the individual.
No. What you hear is I've heard so many Arab countries play this. It's the commitment to the way of Allah, the cause of Allah, to reach Allah's heaven, something like that is the song. Yeah, that very Egypt. Half of people standing on that stage have their hands soaked in Sudani blood. And two things, Brandon. One, there are people out there who will claim that, Muslims will give you a chance to convert first. Did you see any of these people getting that chance?
No.
And when I say it's a myth, do not call for peace when you are superior in numbers. That is what you're witnessing. When they became superior in numbers, that was the end of it. There was no more peace treaty and hudna. It was done. Done. And for the record, I need to say this for those who may not have the time or interest to read the full Substack. Both sides on Sudan are Muslim. Okay? None of the sides are the good guys fighting for Christians. One side are the Arab Muslims, the other side are the non-Arab Muslims. So the fight is still over Islam.
Tell us again the two sides.
Okay, so one of them...
I wish we had a graphic to put up.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't think of that. But one of them is the Rapid Sudan Force. They call themselves RSF, Rapid Sudan Force, are the good guys, the non-Arab Muslims. And then you have the Sudan Armed Force, SAF, which are the ones you see mainly on the videos, that are the ones that toppled the previous government and run the country under their military now. Those are the Arab Muslims. And the Arab Muslim, the Sudan Armed Force is supported by Egypt. The videos you're witnessing, Egypt pays for survival of these monsters. Egypt, Turkey, Iran, Russia are the four main. There are more, but these are the four main. The Rapid Sudan forces, who are the non-Arab Muslims, they are not saving Christians. This is important to note. They are not saving Christians, but they are helping in saving non-Arab Muslims. Did that make sense?
So they won't save the Christians, but they'll save the non-Arab Muslims.
Yes.
So everybody's out to kill the Christians or not help them.
Exactly.
Right.
The end goal of both sides is Islamic Caliphate. But one side doesn't have any problem with non-Arabs. The other side has problem with even non-Arabs Muslims. So bottom line is Islamic Caliphate. The armed forces of Sudan are trying to cleanse Sudan of non-Arabs and keep it Muslim. The Rapid forces are trying to cleanse Sudan of non-Muslims. That's the only difference between. And the non-Arab Muslims are funded and supported by EAU, the modern fancy country that every American wants to take a vacation to.
You're talking about the United UAE.
Yes. What did I say? UAE.
Yeah, you said EAU or something.
UAE,
United Arab Emirates. Okay.
They are also funded by Kenya, and they are funded. No, they're not funded. They are given weapons from China. These are the three countries supporting the non-Arab Muslim side, Rapid Armed Forces.
So there are no good guys in this on either side.
There are no good guys.
And again, the Christians are caught in the middle and murdered. Here's
the
a
Christians
headline.
are murdered most.
Sudan is asking for Iran's help to defeat the RSF rebellion. Sudan's foreign minister has visited Iran to mend diplomatic ties after an 8-year shutoff. Sudan is in war, and they want Iranian weapons. So officially, the government of Sudan is now siding with Iran?
The official government are the Sudan Armed Forces.
Okay.
And that's why Iran, Turkey, Russia, and Egypt are on their side, because they're official government. Okay. And I want to just quickly hit at something. For everyone who thought I literally had people write me say, you didn't have to do a special extra 2 hours of show, all upset yelling when al-Sharar came to DC. This is what happens when you legitimize a jihadi militia. What's happening in Sudan is what will happen in places like Syria and other areas if we continue legitimizing a militia group that toppled a regime and give them credit. And that's why I had to do the 2-hour extra. That's why I was upset, and I still am upset. One of the reasons I did this expose today is to prove to people that these Islamic militias that go around and topple presidents and take countries over, this is the plan. It's the same plan for al-Shura. He is going to kill all Druzes and all Christians of Syria if we continue giving him the hats we're giving him.
And I hear there are reports that 2 million Christians have been killed so far. Is that right?
Where's in Syria?
In Sudan.
Oh, Sudan. My numbers are higher than that. Mine is close to 2.8. Sorry.
I'm reading 2 million Christians have been slaughtered and 7 million have run away.
Mine is 2.8, but again, probably where you're reading is more of a conservative number.
2.8 murdered already, Christians.
2.8, that includes mothers, pregnant mothers with their babies in their belly, and young kids, as you saw, fathers.
And then another 7 million are on the run.
They are on the, you could say more like hiding. Where are they supposed to run? Did you see the 7 countries bordering Sudan? Where are they supposed to run, Brannon?
I don't know who the Freedom Defense Initiative is. Maybe you can look that up while I play it. I'm going to hear it like everybody else for the first time. Listen to this.
A country where everybody, some of them believe in African traditions, now it become run by the Sharia law. And the Southerners felt, how can we have a peace between us? And Nimeri went on to justify his position. And he went on, and I quote him.
Can you guys bump the volume on that a little bit?
For those who will not...
Let me start it over, because I don't want anyone to miss this.
A country where everybody, some of them believe in African traditions, now it become run by the Sharia law. And the Southerners felt, how can we have a peace between us? And Nimeri went on to justify his position. And he went on, and I quote him, for those who will not follow the rule of the law, or the rule of the lands, which is the Sharia law, I will declare jihad on them. For those who is talking about Addis Ababa agreements, this is not a Quran, or it is not a Bible. It is a piece of paper that I signed, in which I have every right to introduce the law which is good for the nations. And the Sharia law is the ones which is good for this nation. And the Sharia law was declared. And indeed, the Arab government in Khartoum, or the Islamic government in Khartoum, or the terrorist government in Khartoum, went on and recruit every young man, even some of them happen to be 70 years old. Simply because they are going to fight the jihad war, they went and took arms. And they went on to slaughter 2 million Southern Sudanese Christians, infidel by their definitions. And they went on and destroy every single thing that happened to be in the South. In other words, they went on to genocide the culture, the human beings, and left 7 million Southern Sudanese as refugees, the largest and the biggest refugees since World War II. And the government in Khartoum went and gave the Arabs arms to go and loot those African cattle, and most important, kill the oldest ones and take the younger one into the slavery, which become known by the United Do Nothing Nation, that you can buy a human being in Sudan for $10. This is my peoples. This is the people that I'm here as their voice.
Mm-hmm. Annie?
Yes. I looked it up, by the way. It looks like it's an organization that is trying to stop Islamization, mainly in America and other places possible, the organization that he was speaking at. I guess my question or my calculation is, how could 7 million of them escape? I'm not saying that. I have actually met a Sudani man myself who escaped Sudan. He was forced to become a soldier as a young boy. and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name. There's an organization, a wonderful man who runs it. He's actually a Jewish American. He made a visit to Sudan, used his own money and freed some of these slaves in Sudan. And one of them was this gentleman I met with. He wrote a book. I have heard his story. So some of them did get away. But Brandon, again, you look at the 7 countries bordering Sudan. Where are these? Like, how are 7 million going to get away? This South Sudan is helping the war. Eritrea, which is to bottom right, is helping. Egypt is a major supporter of this war. Like, there aren't that many. Libya, well, are they going to go to Libya as refugees? They wouldn't survive Libya. So I don't know when he said 7 million of them became refugees. I hope they did, because at least we know they're safe. But I highly doubt 7 million Christians could get out of Sudan with the situation of border and what countries are neighboring Sudan. Few might, but I don't think 7 million could. But I pray they did. It just logically makes no sense, though. Oh, and then I should say that the most recent contract signed to help the Sudan Armed Forces, the Arab side, is also Pakistan. Sorry, I forgot to mention that one.
I don't know who put this out, but look at this. Take a look at this. Sudan, and you got yourself oil.
And gold. What's in the middle is the gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you. Tremendous amount of untapped gold and oil is sitting in Sudan. That was the whole fight. That was the whole fight of how can Sudan ever be so poor? How can Sudan suffer Sudan has suffered for so long. It isn't just this specific war. It wasn't about the previous regime, the monster who ran it. Sudan has suffered so much because nobody decided to go in. You know how President Trump signed an agreement with Pakistan 2.5 months ago for us to go help them tap into their little tiny itsy bitsy mineral? No one has ever offered that help to Sudan. You want to fix a country? Here's a great country to fix, Mr. President. A starving people, majority Christian, who have suffered through so much, they will be grateful. Help them tap into their natural wealth and let them grow. But everybody wants to take it for themselves. And no one has succeeded, funny enough.
And yet I understand that our government is funding terrorists to the tune of like $40 million a week to the Taliban. And they still can't get that turned off, apparently. I know Congressman Tim Burchett is trying to stop.
How long are we, except 3 years of Trump first term, pretty much we've been funding the Palestinian pay per slay since day one. We paid for pay per slay, just in case if anyone in your audience is not familiar with PLO, the Palestinian Authority, pays the Palestinian families who have lost a son, a husband, a father, whatever, male figure, to killing Jews. They receive monthly allowance, reward.
Mm-hmm.
Those prisoners who are arrested and convicted serving prison time in Israel, their families receive money every month to leave life. And I don't mean welfare, little tiny check. They get a lot of money. Yep. And we funded that by continuing. As I said, Trump has stopped the PLO or aid to Palestine for 3 years on his first term. I'll give him credit for that. Biden resumed, and this time around we didn't stop it. So, of course we're funding terror. And that's the thing. I have another bombshell dropping tomorrow. It's not just we're funding terrorism. We are a joke at this point. I have found evidence, Brannon, that Islamic Republic of Iran's, some of the helicopters they're using their military are made of our American-made helicopter parts. How do you explain that? I explain it on my Substack tomorrow. It's going to come out tomorrow at 1:30 p.m.
I thought
Eastern
there was
time.
sanctions going on.
Right? Sanctions. Lots of sanctions. No, there is. I think I called it sanction lies. We're funding terrorism, we're sanctioning countries and individuals, and then we give them visa to come to New York.
Does anyone ever get the idea that we're funding both sides of the war so we can get into wars and then have justification for war in the military-industrial complex?
That's what I was saying about Sudan. Today, U.S. has decided to look the other way. As it develops to a certain point, U.S. is going to pick a side, the winning side, to get in and then tap into the oil.
They just want to make sure they pick the winning side. They're not sure who's going to win yet, so they're waiting.
While Sudanese are being slaughtered.
While Christians are being murdered and raped and enslaved. I don't know what's going to come up here. Tell me if this is an accurate little video here. Here we go.
Sudan, a nation at war with itself in a battlefield shaped by others. Since April 2023, two rival generals have torn the country apart. Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, leading the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, and Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, commanding the Rapid Support Forces, RSF. What began as a struggle for power in Khartoum has spiraled into one of the world's deadliest wars. Over 150,000 dead, 14 million displaced, and famine spreading across Darfur and Kordofan. But the front lines tell only half the story. Behind them are powerful states shaping the war from afar. The Sudanese government accuses the United Arab Emirates of backing the RSF, sending weapons, fuel, and funds through neighboring Chad and Libya. Satellite evidence and intercepted cargo flights hint at supply networks linking Gulf warehouses to RSF-held zones. The UAE denies the charges, saying it only supports humanitarian aid. But experts note that Sudan's gold, much of it smuggled from RSF territory, flows directly into Emirati markets. And across the Red Sea, Israel's involvement runs deeper than acknowledged. Tel Aviv has reportedly built covert channels with RSF commanders, sharing intelligence and offering strategic coordination against Iranian-linked movements along the Red Sea corridor. This isn't speculation, it's strategy. Israel views Sudan as a critical node in the regional chessboard, a bridge between the Horn of Africa, the Gulf, and the Sahel, where influence today means security tomorrow. Today, Sudan's war is no longer just a civil war. It's a map of intersecting ambitions, where gold routes, Red Sea ports, and foreign alliances redraw the lines of sovereignty. And while the world looks elsewhere, Sudan burns, caught between two generals and too many agendas.
All right. Do you believe Israel's involved on one side or not? Is that propaganda or is that true?
In my Substack, you don't see Israel's involvement because I saw the accusations. I dug as deep as I could. I couldn't find a shred of evidence. Just like there is zero evidence of any gold tapped into in Sudan. So to claim that the gold is being smuggled to, where did they claim it's going to? Abu Dhabi? That's again, it might be true. I don't have any evidence to back it.
Okay. So
I mean, there is no.
As we wrap.
Go ahead.
As we wrap here, they all say all issues are local issues. No, they're not. You're exactly right. These are international issues. But to try to make Americans pay attention as though those videos should be enough. But what are the lessons Americans should be learning here? I think one of them is certainly that Christians are being hunted worldwide. Everywhere we turn, Christians are being hunted. It is, and I believe, and I could be 100% wrong, but I believe if the Lord does not return for the church soon, Christians in America are going to be hunted. We have on our website today, and it's already happening to some degree, but we have on our website today a imam out of Kansas City. Listen to this out of Kansas City, folks.
Continue the boycotting. Don't say the Gaza war is over, we go back to routine. No. Gaza have started a new page for us of jihad, standing up, giving sacrifices. If Gaza have done what they could, it's our time to continue, my dear brothers. Don't say it's over, I can go back to my routine. No, this is not acceptable, my dear brothers. اللهم عليك بأعدائنا يا رب من الصهاينة المجرمين ومن عاونهم وأيدهم وسلحهم ومولهم وطبع معهم اللهم يا رب نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم احصهم عددا اقتلهم بددا لا تغادر منهم احدا فانهم لا يعجزونك ربنا اجعلنا شوكة في اعناق اعدائنا يا رب.
That's a guy right here in the U.S. So I think the kind of brutality, the murder that we have all seen tonight in Sudan, I think that is coming to America. They are getting control. They're growing in numbers. And at some point, we're going to have an October 7th event, I believe. At some point, Christians will finally realize why we have for several decades now been screaming and hollering about the Marxists and the Islamists. That's one lesson, or two lessons. The global persecution of Christians is increasing. And two, the violence, the butchery, the genocide that you see in other parts of the world is coming to America. God forbid, but I think it's coming to America. I don't know if it'll be full genocide, but we're going to see, I think, an October 7th event. I don't know how you can at this point. Not when you have people in mosques talking like that, kill the Christians, kill the Zionists, chop their necks. Annie?
I'll agree with everything you said, and I will back what you said with a post I made today. Translation from the horse's mouth, I guess is how you say it. Hassan Khomeini, the grandson of Khomeini, the original supreme leader that started the Islamic Republic of Iran, he actually claimed that the October 7th incident sparked a cultural awakening in the region and abroad, pointing to Mamdani's win. He goes on to say, it doesn't matter who won. What matters is that there was a time when no one in America could speak against Israel. But now, 2/3 of New Yorkers under 30 oppose U.S. support for Israel, and they voted accordingly. Sometimes awakening must pass through blood. He said that today. I think that pretty much translates to exactly what you said. Sometimes awakening must pass through blood.
Yep.
That's their belief. And they will do it. But one of the most important things to pay attention to, I think, Brannon, in my very humble opinion, is look around. Start asking questions. Why is somebody doing something? Why are they not doing something? Are these peace deals about peace or control? All of these agreements and handshakes, what is it going to end up being for us? How are we going to, and that one of the reasons I had someone's like, why would you go write about Sudan? Americans don't care about Sudan. I'm like, well, it's time for them to care. That's why I go write about Sudan. Because what's happening in Sudan can very well start happening here if we don't pay attention, if we keep covering up for our guy. And I'm not referring to Trump, by the way. So I'm referring to any guy. Your mayor, your governor, your congressman, congresswoman, anybody. If you keep excusing, if you keep trusting, there will be very soon be a day where here we will be hunted. We will be hunted. Brannon, Canada, for first time in its history, Canada finally released information saying that they had to drop certain things to start focusing on stopping plots against Iranian dissidents in Canada and save their lives. That's how far Iran regime is hunting some of us. And when tomorrow's Substack come out, you'll see how our government is absolutely not serious about stopping the mullahs. And you think they're going to stop after they get us? No. From 46 years ago until today, what was their chant? What is their chant every day? Death to America. They're going to start hunting Christian Americans, the Zionists.
Yep.
Just proven history.
Live it up to freedom.substack.com. Live up to freedom.substack.com. Part 2 coming out tomorrow. Right, Annie?
Well, No, tomorrow is not part of Sudan. Tomorrow is American helicopter parts making its way to Iran and building up Iran's military.
Okay.
Or I should say IRGC. This was a part 2 that came out today. Part 1 came out last week about Sudan. This was Sudan part 2.
Okay. All right. It's so tough. Annie, thank you for all you do. And obviously, folks,
Yes, my pleasure.
be praying for the Christians in Sudan. We're going to stay on this one. Annie, any updates you have, please bring it back to us. We want to keep updating on this.
Will do. Appreciate you.
And
Thank
we
you.
just saw Christians not only in Sudan, but we saw Christians being killed in one other country. What was that one, Annie? Is that Kenya?
Well, they are being killed in Nigeria. They're being killed in
Nigeria.
But you were correct. They are also being killed in Kenya. They are being killed in Sudan. They are being killed in Syria.
And what's all the common denominator, I wonder?
Hamidians. That would be Muslims.
Yeah, Islam. I think Islam plays, I'm going to say it again, I think Islam plays a much bigger deal in the 7-year tribulation than we realize.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. We'll be right back. Take a look at this picture. This is my beautiful wife. Does that look like a grandmother to you? Seriously, does that look like a grandmother to you? Well, she is. I took this picture on August 31st, 2025. Now, you want to know how she stays so young and beautiful looking? Well, I'll tell you right now, she does 3 things for sure. She takes Numi every day that's loaded with glutathione to detox your cells. She also takes Bella Grace each and every day, loaded with 3 powerful ingredients. And she takes Gatatana, 1 scoop, the equivalent of 90 billion plant cells. So you can get all of these products that she and myself take each and every day at worldviewtube.com/sponsors. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. It's a great way to support your health and also our broadcast network as we continue to push out free Christian worldview programming. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Joining me now is Trevor Loudon to discuss the Socialist Democrats of America. They are helping the Islamists take over America. There was a jihadi several years ago who said that the only way to bring down America is a coalition between the Marxist and the Islamist. That was a jihadi known as the Jackal, Carlos the Jackal. The only way to bring down America is a coalition between the Marxist and the Islamist. And yet, look at this headline from the New York Post, November 11th, 2025. There it is. Meet Zoran Mondani's newly named chief of staff, the secretive Democrat Socialist of America operative who helped to craft his lefty platform. We also have another article. Here it is. Seattle's new socialist mayor goes full communist, says she won't allow private grocery stores to close. I think we have another one I can show you. Let's see here. Well, I guess no, here's one. Chicagoans do not want us to bankroll the regime. Chicago will no longer buy treasury bonds. It is, as Jonathan Turley says, it is a self-destructive tax scheme and borrowing plans that would only accelerate the flight from the city and the collapse of the city's finances. But isn't that the goal, folks? Isn't that the goal, the collapse of America as we know it? Joining me now to discuss this is Trevor Loudon. Trevor, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us by phone tonight.
Always a pleasure, Brandon, and greetings to all the audience.
Trevor, what do you make of this? And remind our audience let's go back to Basics 101. We have a lot of new listeners. Who are the Democrat Socialists of America, DSA? Who are they? What's their history? When were they founded? What's their goal and objective?
Okay, they were founded in 1982 from an amalgamation of former members of the Socialist Party USA and former communists and SDSs who aligned in the New American Movement. So they joined, all those three groups joined together to form Democratic Socialists of America in 1982. through the 80s, they were very deep inside the Democratic Party. They were very close to Ted Kennedy, for instance, extremely close to him. And also, their founder, Michael Harrington, back in the 60s, helped to design the Great Society, the Lyndon Johnson's massive welfare programs that destroyed black and poor families all over the country, and we're still suffering from today. In the 90s, in the 80s, they were very much behind Barack Obama. He was very, very close to them for many years, put many of their people into office, had them working around them, etc. And they sort of went into a bit of a doldrum in the 90s, and in the early 2000s they were suffering a bit. But then Bernie came along, who's been working with them for many, many years. And when he ran for president, they exploded, going from about 6,000 members to nearly 100,000. Now they're sitting about 82,000. But they are a communist party. They're essentially, they call themselves democratic socialists. But the East German communist East Germany used to call itself the German Democratic Republic. And North Korea currently calls itself the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. So they are full-on Marxist, full-on communist group that get away with a lot because of their name that, for instance, the Communist Party USA couldn't get away with.
Mm. And, of course, would AOC and Rashida Tlaib, would they be a part of this group?
Yeah, they're both members. Yep, as was Cori Bush, who lost her seat, as was Jamal Bowman in New York, as was Jan Schakowsky, the Chicago congresswoman for many years, and also Danny Davis, another Chicago congressman for many years. They've all been members of Democratic Socialists of America. Oh, and Greg Kazar, too, from Texas, is a member. And Summer Lee from Pennsylvania was a member as well.
So how many members in total are in the House of Representatives?
Well, current proven members, just 2, but ex-members is another 4 or 5, and ex-members who collaborate with them is 4 or 5, and there's several more standing in the next election cycle.
So now we have the chief of staff for Mondani is DSA, all right? So, we saw right away one of the things he's going to do, it seems like, is go after Israel. Take any of the money that the state, that the city has that's in any kind of banks tied to Israel or any funding. I mean, he's fully doing BDS, boycott, divest, sanctions, BDS. Yeah. Why is he going after those issues first over what would be to see socialist Marxist ideas? Why is he going there first? Or is that okay with DSA?
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely. They're 100% anti-Israel. They kick people out who support Israel. They almost kicked out AOC because she voted for on one pro-Israel measure once. Yeah, so the reason they're going after Israel, the foreign policy is the most important thing to communists, because the goal is a worldwide communism. So they're always looking at ways they can destroy America's enemies and destroy America's friends and empower the enemies. So Israel is very strategically important in the Middle East. If you can take down Israel, you get control of the Suez Canal and the Eastern Mediterranean. The Russians will get a warm water port in the Mediterranean. The Iranians will take over the region, and they are allied to the communists. So absolutely, both Democratic Socialists of America is militantly anti-Israel. Plus, Mandami is a 12er Shia Muslim. He converted to that. That's the sect of Islam that believes in bringing the world into chaos and is the official state ideology of Iran. So both of those, they're the most anti-Israel groups in the world, and Mandami is a member of both of them. Now, he's absolutely going after Israel. BDS, he'll cut off every possible connection between Israel and New York, anything that he has control over.
So tell me about the mayor of Seattle. She's saying that she won't allow private grocery stores to close. What is she going to do? Demand they stay open if they don't want to? I mean, what is she going to do here?
Well, she's a lunatic, and she is not known to be a member of Democratic Socialists of America, but they are certainly backing her and certainly campaigning for her. Plus the Seattle communists, plus, Seattle's had a lot of communist councillors over the years, but I think this is the first one, the first hardcore socialist mayor for some time. But she will do exactly, to some degree, what Mandami is doing, what Brandon Johnson is doing in Chicago, etc. He's another Marxist mayor. So, we're getting them all over. They're Karen Bass in Los Angeles is cut from the same stripe, and DSA has councillors in everywhere from Louisville, Kentucky, Atlanta, Georgia, Milwaukee, Detroit, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, Los Angeles, Portland, Maine, you name it. They are infiltrating all over the place right now.
Wow. Tell me why Americans should be concerned about these groups, because they're mostly in, looks like, blue cities, blue states. But are they getting a stranglehold in any of the red states like Texas or Tennessee, et cetera?
Well, they've got a couple of councillors, I believe, in Nashville. They've definitely got people in Memphis as well. Definitely in Texas, in Houston, and Austin and San Antonio. They've got two councillors, and so it might be three now in San Antonio, a couple in Austin, I believe, and others in Houston. But yes, they're also they're standing 4 people for city council in Missoula right now, out in Montana. So yes, they are going for the red states as well, but obviously and also Nevada. They've got people on the council there. Yeah, they're going wherever they can, because there's a lot of these big cities, even in red states, are still susceptible. You still have blue pockets in the red states. So yes, they are establishing footholds in every state, but obviously more so in the blue states.
Mm. And let's talk about why they would, some of the, I don't know if that's going in Chicago, but Chicago is a dominantly Marxist, Islamic town. So some of these radicals there in Chicago, Jonathan Turley is reporting that they don't want to fund anything related to Israel. And so the regime, not Israel, sorry, the regime, they say. It's a bold statement, isn't it? Those words of Chicago City Treasurer Melissa Conyers Irvin hardly capture the moment. Yesterday, she declared that her office would no longer invest in U.S. Treasury bonds to protest what she called the authoritarian regime of President Donald Trump. It is more bonkers than bold. It makes about as much sense as President Trump saying that he will not eat deep dish pizza to protest Chicago. My hometown of Chicago is facing an economic meltdown due to towering debt and massive spending. Mayor Ben Johnson and unions have pushed self-destructive tax schemes and borrowing plans that would only accelerate the fight from the city and the collapse of the city's finances. Now the person in charge of investing that money is declaring that politics rather than economics will guide investments. Is this one way, though, they're going to collapse these cities by doing this on purpose? Are these people, are they that dumb? Are they that much of political hacks? Or is the greater agenda to collapse these cities as part of the Cloward Piven strategy, if you will?
100% it is. Like you look at Detroit, that was the most humming city in the Midwest. 2 million people, dynamic city. A Communist Party mayor, Coleman Young, took over in the 70s. The DSA had several council positions for many years, Marion Mahaffey and others. Even as late as the 90s, they put a woman in there, Carol O'Claricane, to sort out Detroit's finances, and she was also a member of DSA. Mm. So, yes, absolutely. Cloward and Piven were both members of DSA, and their goal was they tried to collapse the New York economy by putting every person they possibly could onto welfare to stretch the budget beyond breaking point. And their goal was to destroy the budget, plunge the country into poverty, and the only way out will be universal socialism. So look, we've got to understand, socialists do not want happy, rich, fat workers. They want miserable, starving, desperate workers who will, grab onto any crumb that they're offered. So absolutely their plan is to collapse these cities.
How do they plan on getting reelected to office if they come in and do these kind of things?
Well, massive vote fraud, like in Detroit, that's a Democrat city. The worse it gets, the more they vote Democrat, because the city council gives them more crumbs. They drive the tax base out of the city. They collapse the city, and all that's left are poor people and beneficiaries who will just vote Democrat because the Democrats will give them a little bit more wealth, $10 extra welfare a week or something. They don't care about the goal is to capital flight, soak the rich, drive the tax base out of the city, and turn every major U.S. city into Detroit if they can do it. It's absolutely their plan.
How about Weather Underground? What history does Weather Underground have with any of the DSA, Democrat Socialists of America?
Well, they both came out of SDS, Students for a Democratic Society, and Students for a Democratic Society split about 3 or 4 different ways in the 70s, and DSA comes out of one strand, and Weather Underground came out of another. But there's been a lot of cross-pollination over the years, like Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dawn have both worked very closely with Democratic Socialists of America for many years. Mark Rudd, another former weatherman, was involved with the Democratic Socialists of America in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and many others of that ilk. So you'll find a lot of cross-pollination, but they were from 2 different Maoist strands, but they have worked together. There's many former weathermen and children of weathermen that are now in DSA, and there's also a famous spy, Kurt Stand, who was caught spying for Russia and East Germany as a member of Democratic Socialist America, got 19 years jail, and when he got out, he got straight back into DSA, is now one of the leaders of their Washington, D.C. chapter.
So apparently the Democrat Socialists of America got about 100,000 members. And
they claim about 82, roughly,
okay,
but there's a lot more supporters than that,
And then you add the Islamists. So are we going to start seeing more of, like, the chief of staff now from Mandani is Democrat Socialists of America?
Well, so if he chooses Brad Lander as a deputy mayor, which he said he was going to, he's DSA as well.
Okay. So are we likely to see more and more mayors taking over major American cities that are both Islamist and DSA co-partnerships and coalitions? Can someone let the studio dog in? By the way, Dolly wants in very badly. Yep, go ahead. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. Yeah, we will see more of that. We'll see it particularly in New York, but it's happening in LA. It's happening. There's a Muslim DSA member on the city council in LA. Mm-hmm. A lot of the radical Muslims, like Linda Sarsour and that, are also DSA members. The co-chair of DSA, Ashik Sadiq, is a Muslim. They have a Muslim caucus in DSA for Muslim radicals. And a lot of people in CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, they work very closely with DSA. There's a lot of cross-membership there as well.
All right. So what else should our folks know tonight before we wrap on this?
Well, just to say that, DSA has very deep ties to the Communist Party of Cuba. They are working now on extending ties to the Communist Party of China. They have ties to European, African, and Latin American communist parties, and they're also an associate member of the Sao Paulo Forum, which is a group of about 200 Latin American communist and terrorist parties set up by Fidel Castro to expressly to restore for communism in Latin America what was lost in Eastern Europe. And they're also very, very close now with the president of Mexico's party, Morena, which is another communist party. They're building very strong ties to the Mexican communists. So, look, they're a revolutionary party. These people intend to have a revolution in America, and have infiltrated the upper reaches of state legislatures all over the country. They got a whole bunch of people in Congress, a whole bunch of sympathetic senators, particularly Elizabeth Warren, and very deep ties with the Islamists. So, yeah, their goal is revolution.
What about Sudan? Do you have any idea what's going on in Sudan? You've been following that at all?
Well, not closely. I know there's, you got Islamists and communists working together in Sudan against the Christian minorities.
Yep.
But that's a very similar thing in Nigeria as well.
Yep.
And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing this red-green axis, the red for communism, the green for Islam, working in India, working in Nigeria, working in Ghana now, working in Sudan, working in lots of countries in Africa to basically, in Burundi, etc., to basically eliminate as much as possible the local Christian populations and establish a sort of communist caliphate across the African continent.
Yep, 100%. Let's take you over there. Let me go there myself so you can see his website, trevorloudon.com. trevorloudon.com. You'll find all of his books there at trevorloudon.com. Again, all his books that are so relevant, so much history, so important to know and understand, and to keep your young people away from your children and your college children, your grandchildren. Give a warning to grandparents tonight and parents about their kids getting caught up with the Democrat Socialists of America. They're pretty active on college campuses, are they not?
Yeah, they got YDA, Young Democratic Socialists of America chapters on well over 100 college campuses, probably a lot more than that now. And they're pretty heavily into recruiting, that's for sure.
Mm.
And and it's easier to sell young people on a Democratic Socialist group than a communist group, but it is the same thing. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Any predictions as to who the Democrats are going to run in 2028? Is it going to be Gavin Newsom or AOC?
It's going to be a war between the Newsom faction and the AOC faction, and I would put money on the AOC faction, actually, unless something changes dramatically, between now and then. But
are you telling me we could actually see a President AOC?
Yeah, it's not inconceivable,
I mean, you realize, how dumb she is, right? I mean, she's dumb as a box of rocks, right? I mean,
well, she's probably got about 20 IQ points on Kamala Harris.
Oh, that's a compliment, I guess.
So yeah, she is, but that doesn't matter. They ran Kamala Harris, and she's dumb as a box of rocks. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who the presidential candidate is on the Democrat side, as long as they can win, because they are just puppets of the Democrat Communist Party. So they'll put it, and their whole strategy now in going forward, this is a rainbow coalition strategy of Jesse Jackson, the Obama multiracial coalition. They want candidates of color. They want female candidates. And so that's why you have Rashida Tlaib and AOC. And I would bet even money that AOC will be the Democrat candidate. And that may not happen, but she's got a better chance, in my opinion, than Gavin Newsom.
Who will Obama back, Newsom or AOC?
He would back AOC if it came down to it.
Hillary Clinton?
She would. She might try and go for Newsom, but she would back AOC.
And then, of course, Bernie's going to back AOC.
Yeah, no question there. If he's still alive by then.
Can you? I mean, you really see enough people voting for AOC that she becomes president, or of course they could rig it, right?
Yeah, look, I absolutely I can see that. They look at the Democrat. See, the Trump coalition has got a lot of problems right now with the Russian infiltration. The Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens Russian propaganda that's going through it, and the anti-Semitism that they're pushing, etc. So it's going to make life tough for the Republican Party, and a young candidate of color is the ideal Democratic, young communist candidate of color with a bit of charisma is the ideal Democratic candidate. So I don't put anything off the table. I don't want that to happen, but that's why the federal government has to go after DSA. It's a communist party. It works for foreign entities. It's allied to Cuba. It's allied to China. And it's a hostile foreign entity allied also to people who are working for Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas. The federal government should be going hard on these people.
And what about Ron DeSantis? How is it going to be Ron DeSantis fighting for it against obviously J.D. Vance?
I don't know about Ron, I like Ron a heck of a lot, but he didn't really fire last time. I don't really want it to be J.D. Vance, I will say that. But, so I hope someone else comes out of the woodwork.
I do too. I agree with you. Why don't you want it to be J.D. Vance? Be honest.
Because he is so much into the Russian propaganda narrative. He has swallowed. He is,
and he's been created by the tech bros, has he not?
Yeah, the tech bros, and Tucker Carlson got him in there. Well, Tucker Carlson is a pro-Russia guy,
and I think Tucker Carlson's son,
I'm rooting for Russia.
Tucker Carlson's son, I think, is on his staff.
I think that's correct. Yeah, he's too close to that Tucker Carlson, Curtis Yarvin, pro-Russia axis. I do not want him to be on the ticket.
Mm-hmm. You think Trump finishes out his term? Because I last night had Mark Mitchell on. Mark thinks the Democrats are going to win in 2026. They're going to impeach Trump. And he said even some of the Republicans could throw in with him to get him gone because they want to return. They want to destroy MAGA and return to the George H. party, not the MAGA party. They want to take back the GOP.
Oh, look, I think that's absolutely a possibility, yeah. And I think, and I don't want to see that to happen. But
no, me neither.
I certainly, look, MAGA without the Russian corruption that's trying to infiltrate it is the only way to save America right now. We cannot be saved by a George Bush or a Mitt Romney or any of that sort of weak, or any of that sort of stuff. We've got to go forward. We've got to be bold. We've got to get rid of the illegals. We've got to, we've got to stand up to our enemies. We've got to free the country, and keep abolishing government departments and stuff. That's the only way forward. And that's why I'm fighting as much as I can against these infiltrators into MAGA. Who are discrediting the movement. Mm-hmm. But yes, if they are not dealt with, if they're not thrown out of the movement, President Trump could lose the midterms, and then there will be impeachment, and I absolutely guarantee some of the Republicans would turn on him and vote for impeachment.
And then
I don't doubt that for a moment.
And then that would put J.D. in the office if they convict him in the Senate, which gives him a good launching point to run for president as president.
Yeah. So it's not a good. We gotta look. This is what I say. We got to save America. That's our mission. That's our spiritual mission, to save America. President Trump must finish his term, and we must take the House. Everybody listening should be active and working to make sure we take the House in the midterms, doing everything we can. That's the single mission right now in front of us. Otherwise, the whole Trump agenda stops, and probably so does his presidency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you can start seeing them come after Christian radio, Christian TV, hate speech laws, all the things we've been warning about for decades. I mean, they're that close. I mean, we're going to turn right into Europe, right into the UK.
Look, we should know by now that the Democratic Party is a communist party,
right?
And the Republican Party is weak, is pretty weak. Not all of them, but there's a very weak, wet faction in the Republican Party. Only real MAGA can save America now, because if the Democrats win again, they will legalize every single illegal immigrant still left in the country and throw the borders open again till they have completely destroyed the conservative voting base, and they will come after our enemies. They are as vicious as Hugo Chavez. They will do to America what Hugo Chavez did to Venezuela. That is a promise if they get elected again, and there'll be nothing you can do about it. And if you try and have a revolution to overturn it, the Russians and the Chinese will march in here to help them finish it off.
And Hugo Chavez, that's hyperinflation. That's the middle class that I have on video eating out of dumpsters, out of garbage trucks. Literally the middle class.
Yeah, look, that's exactly. There is no middle class left in Venezuela. There's an ultra-rich elite, and everybody else is eating out of dumpsters, and scrounging around to try and get toilet paper or something like that. And I want to really impress, God does not want this country lost. But, and he gave us President Trump twice, and we better darn well make use of that. Because if we let President Trump get impeached, if we let him lose the midterms because we were too busy playing golf or we had our holiday in the Virgin Islands, that's not going to be good for us when we're held to account.
Well, and President Trump needs to get back
to stand up.
And Trump needs to get back to MAGA and quit talking about 600,000 Chi-Coms coming in here as students. He needs to quit talking about HB1 and how Americans aren't smart enough, so we have to import people to take their jobs. He needs to stop talking like that.
He absolutely is his own worst enemy. He does all these great things and then talks. What is that going to do to the base? Well,
I can tell you, we're already seeing it on social media. People are saying, "I'm done. I'm not voting for him I'm not voting in the next election. I'm out. He didn't do what he said he was going to do. The uniparty's real. He's caved to it. He's thrown in with the big corporatist." I mean, you go on social media, people are demoralized this week from these comments.
Yeah. Look, absolutely. So what's he thinking? Who's advising him? Why isn't J.D. Vance, if he's such a great pro-American guy, having a big word in his ear? Those kind of remarks, every time he says something like that, you lose 1 million voters.
Yep.
It's insane. But he's still the only hope we have left, because the Democrats are communists. And if he's out of there, the Democrats will win. It won't be a Republican winning unless we get some knight in shining armor that none of us know about yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's always miracles. But look, we've had 2 miracles. We had 2016. We had 2024. Why are we going to get a third one if we blow the first 2?
Yeah, that's so true. TrevorLoudon.com, that's the website. Hope you'll check out all of his great books, historical books. And you can follow him on X as well. Just put his name into X, TrevorLoudon.com. It'll pop right up. Trevor, as always, thanks for being with us.
Always a pleasure, Brandon. And thanks so much to the audience. And please get busy. Go to my website too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trevor. TrevorLoudon.com.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back with Dr. Bashima Williams on hormones, because many women have been lied to for a long time, and it has had catastrophic impact. Marriages are broken up. People have turned to psychotropics. People have turned to alcohol. People have been miserable because they were told for years, if you take the hormones, if you take the estrogen, you're going to get cancer and die. Well, what is the truth? This is something Dr. Bashima Williams has been on for 20 years. Very important topic. We'll be right back with Dr. Bashima. Do you know about glutathione? You can't live without it. It's a naturally occurring ingredient in your body. But guess what? It starts to decrease around the age of 20. You need glutathione. There are over 165,000 studies on glutathione at PubMed. It detoxes your cells. And we know there are toxins everywhere. In fact, studies have shown glutathione may remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. Check it out at swishforlife.com. You just put a small 2 caps in your mouth, swish it for about 3 minutes. Then you can swallow it or spit it out. Studies show that this is in your bloodstream within 90 seconds. It's better than an IV. That'll cost you about $250, and it's broken down. But when you swish with it, it is in your body in 90 seconds in its totality. Glutathione, you need it to live. Swishforlife.com. Swishforlife.com. Joining me now is Dr. Bashima. Big topic, one that a lot of people, men and women, should be interested in. Of course, women. But if you're married and you're concerned about your wife, then you should pay attention to this. Or maybe you have a daughter that's going to be coming into this age of life. And what am I talking about? Hormones and menopause. 60 Minutes did a piece on it. And a lot of people were told, don't take any of these hormones. They're going to cause breast cancer. And so a lot of people flooded off of those 20 plus years ago. But apparently we've been lied to again. Dr. Bashima, she's an MD and a functional medicine doctor. She joins us tonight. Dr. Bashima, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me today, Brandon. And I love talking about hormones. It's a large part of my practice. And you know, it encompasses not just menopause, but also perimenopause, which those women have been overlooked for ever since I've been a physician. I've had so many women coming to me with all these symptoms. Perimenopause is the period of life right before you go through menopause. So sometimes that can be up to 10 years. That is a horrible state of life for some people, especially with mood swings, irritability, hot flashes, night sweats, and irregular periods, and all sorts of weird things going on. All your labs look normal, so you're largely ignored, unfortunately, according to my patients. But you know what? There's a lot of help for everyone. But today we're really talking about what Peter Attia sort of brought up to the limelight, and actually is the reason why the black box warning on hormone replacement therapy has been removed. And Peter Attia, for people who don't know him, is an amazing Stanford-trained surgeon. And he actually quit what he was doing because he actually was doing a surgery where when they opened up the belly, the liver was fatty. And back then he realized that was a lifestyle problem. Up until the 90s, fatty liver disease was something we only saw in alcoholics. And then we started seeing it in people who just didn't eat the right foods, and especially high fructose corn syrup foods. So anyway, he really pivoted paths and has become a preventative medicine type of integrative healthcare doctor. And he's amazing. He's really helped a lot of doctors really increase their knowledge base. And one of the areas that he's very passionate about, as am I, is hormone replacement therapy.
Oh, wow. All right, let's get into all that. But here's his clip from 60 Minutes this week. Listen to this.
I think an incredible mistake was made 25 years ago, and the amount of cognitive dissonance that is brewing and that has led to an inability for people to acknowledge those mistakes and to undo them has been glacial at its pace.
You're talking about hormone replacement therapy for perimenopausal and menopausal women.
That's correct.
Where tens and tens of millions of women every year are not getting the treatment that they need.
That's right.
I mean, how would you describe that?
You know, it's hard to not sound hyperbolic when you talk about it, but if you've watched your mother and your mother-in-law and many of your patients go.
Wow. All right, pick it up right there, doctor.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was seeing. So back in early 2000, I remember sitting there watching TV and listening to Katie Couric on the morning show talk about how dangerous hormone replacement therapy was. And this thing called the WHI study, if anyone wants to look it up, it's the Women's Health Initiative. So I got a copy of the Women's Health Initiative so I can read about it, because I was getting phone calls back then on patients who wanted to quit their hormone replacement therapy. Now, I've always used bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. So I've always done estradiol. I've done the healthy progesterone. the study had so many flaws in it, including using the wrong types of estrogen that are oral, which we never do for many reasons, including having to use 4 times the normal dose that you would need if you were to use, say, a transdermal patch that you just change twice a week. It's so easy to replace your estrogen needs. So the wrong type of estrogen was used. It was an oral form of estrogen, and it was a horse's urine estrogen or equine estrogen, which is a lot stronger and different from our own biological, what we make in humans. So that was a flaw. Another flaw was that they used women in all age groups, and the average age was 63. We know there's something called a time dependent or time theory, where we want women, the most benefit you get from HRT therapy is achieved when you start HRT therapy close to menopause. So soon after you go through menopause. Menopause is defined as having no periods for 1 year or greater. Okay, so as soon as you're done with that, that's when you start hormone replacement therapy. I went through menopause, and 9 months into it, I had gained weight. I was a little moody, and I started hormone replacement therapy. At 9 months, I did blood work to verify I was in menopause, and I was. So I didn't wait 12 months, but that's the medical definition. The other flaws were that they contended that the hormone replacement therapy actually increased breast cancer, and they gave us statistics, and they messed around with the statistics, Brandon, to make it sound really bad, like there's a 26% increase in breast cancer, when really there was a slight increase of breast cancer in all the arms. They separated these women in different arms: placebo, meaning they didn't really get a hormone, estrogen only, and then estrogen plus progesterone. So you were in one of these 3 different groups, and what they found was that the progesterone and estrogen, so the wrong hormones anyway, but in that arm there was a slight increase by I think it was 6 out of 10,000, and it increased to 8 out of 10,000 women getting breast cancer. So it increased by 2 people per 10,000. But if you were to look at the estrogen only arm, then you would actually see a decrease in breast cancer, and then also a decrease in heart disease, improved cholesterol profile, decrease in metabolic syndrome issues, the weight gain, which leads to diabetes, which leads to, poor vision, kidney function, high blood pressure, heart disease, and overall a significant increase in all-cause mortality. So when we look at those statistics, the media and the researchers, and what Peter Attia is saying about how it's really hard for those people that made those conclusions come to the surface and correct what they said. It's really hard after all these years of living under that lie to come up now and say, you know what, we were wrong.
And so they ruined a lot of lives, right? A lot of women suffered that didn't need to suffer. And let me ask you this: how many people committed suicide? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I personally, my patients did not stop hormone replacement therapy. I was able to talk with them, show them the study, look at all the different arms, look at the different results in the different arms, and also explain to them what the difference in the hormones that we were using were different from the hormones that the study used and why. And thank God that what I showed them back then in the early 2000s is actually what more and more of what we have now is called objective studies, which we're actually now studying large populations of women who went on hormone therapy similar to what I prescribed back in 2002 and have been on it now for 10 or 20 years. And we're looking at studies with them and how improved their quality of life is. And so when we measure, like, why in the world are we using hormones to begin with? The reason why I felt so passionate about it and why this study kind of really made me mad is because we are losing so many women to heart disease, bone disease. Do you know when you break a bone, you fall and you break a bone, you end up in a nursing home? That really sucks. And a lot of times you're stuck there for the rest of your life. So heart, bone and brain, dementia. Women outnumber men by a lot with dementia, and particularly because we no longer have the estrogen receptors being activated in the brain, which helps keep our brain youthful. So those three things were kind of big, and I wasn't willing to let them go because I knew I would lose more women to that than I would to breast cancer, which I didn't believe it actually caused, which now we have validation that the proper estradiol patches plus a progesterone pill orally do not increase breast cancer. Okay. And it actually helps alleviate so many other things. And what you're talking about with suicide rates is what we call quality of life measures. Do you know anyone who had any quality of life measures were excluded from participating in the WHI study? And the WHI study concluded that women do not benefit from quality of life issues with hormone replacement therapy, but yet they excluded them. And the reason they excluded them is because they knew the placebo arm, no women would want to be in that placebo arm of hormone replacement therapy if they randomized them into that arm. They wanted the real things. They wanted the relief of the weight gain, the swelling, the mood swings, irritability, depression, anxiety, hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, all these things which drive a woman crazy. And then the husband has to live with her and the kids that are living with her. And it's not fair, Brandon. And it hasn't been fair for all these years. And thank God, all these years, I can tell you, I have prescribed a ton of hormone replacement therapy. And I have been so blessed that I have not had a increased risk of breast cancer in my patients. And of course, our patients we're a little biased, right? In terms of my patients also practice really good lifestyle medicine. I mean, they're taking their daily vitamins, right? The foundational pack, one of the supplements in the foundational pack is a special vitamin D that has K2 in it. The K2 also helps with bone density and with heart. So, why would we not add that in there? We have for the women over 50 foundational pack, we have a special calcium in there that has other micronutrients combined in it in that one capsule that help the calcium plus helps with the structure of the bone matrix. So just trying to prevent bone loss in these women. It's so important to do these little things and to listen to your gut. I listened to my gut back in 2002.
So how many marriages, how many divorces, and I'm not kidding when I say this, how many suicides? Women got to the end of their rope, thought they're crazy, they're going crazy, and they kill themselves, or they fall into deep depression. Then they go to the doctor and get on psychotropics. Then they have a side effect, which is really effect. Then they get on another psychotropic. Or again, marriages.
So many women.
Marriages implode, divorces. And now you have also not just those horrific things happen, but you have, as I said, suicide. Alcoholism. How many people turn to alcohol?
So many people. I
don't know the answer to these questions. So when I ask,
I don't know the actual number, but it is a lot because as you're saying all this, I can literally go through my patient load for this week and go, probably every other patient is a hormone patient. And I can tell you exactly why this patient came to me, why this patient came to me, and most of these patients have been referred to me by other women that I've helped. And they're like, oh my gosh, I want what you're, because other women can see the change in other women. And so it is huge. It is absolutely huge. The quality of life measures, Brandon, just not sleeping is a great way to interrogate a prisoner of war. They keep them alive. And when you're going through menopause, you are not sleeping. I mean, that's why in our foundational pack, we put a special magnesium in here to help turn your brain off at night. So you're not just just thinking about all the things you have to do today or what you should have said or could have done today. So while we've supported women with like supplements, nutrition, diet, I'll tell you what, it's that hormone replacement therapy, that progesterone at nighttime quiets a woman's brain and is very calming. It's the calming hormone. It's the hormone that affects the GABA receptors, which is the anti-anxiety, anti-excitability receptor. So it's the calming receptors. Like absolutely, you'd be crazy to think that that did not significantly increase. I don't know if we have a specific number, and I don't know how we would find that kind of data out, but it is definitely, in my practice, something that we see.
So suicides, divorces, alcoholism, psychotropics, all these things because they were lied to, and a simple, proper hormone program could have solved the problem.
Simple, proper, cheap. I mean, estradiol with GoodRx, I think, is like $30 a month.
Wow.
I know. And and progesterone, same thing. Progesterone, you can take it in a pill form. It helps. It's better than the creams or any other form of progesterone. But so how you take them, what route you use, how much you use, all of that, you want to use someone who knows what they're doing. But you know how many women I've gotten off of psychotropic drugs because they come to me because that's what their doctors did. And it's not right or wrong. It's again, my daughter's in medical school, and it is hard. Medical school is very hard. So I'm assuming these doctors are very smart. The problem is this, okay? Back in 2002, and my husband's also a physician. I had to explain this to him about 10 years ago because he didn't want to prescribe hormone replacement therapy. And the reason why is they scare you to death because you want to do this thing called standard of care. You want to practice medicine according to what research and all this other stuff shows. Well, the standard of care is to not prescribe hormone replacement therapy. So if you're prescribing it and a woman gets breast cancer, you are medically liable. So then the medical liability, all of this stuff goes up. And so it wasn't until about 10 years ago, I'm like, I just have to tell you, Mike, this is not, and luckily he didn't have too many women. I saw the women in our practice. He saw the men. So I had a lot more women in my practice than he did. And I shared all the data with him, and he is super smart. And he looked at all the data and he was so upset himself because all these years he was lied to, and he bought into it because why would the medical world lie to their doctors and literally change the way they practice? And
why?
All
because
these women
because
later,
$30 is a $30 solution versus psychotropics is
we
more,
have
more
no
money.
idea.
Why?
If you really listen to Dr. Peter Attia's 60-minute show, no one knows. We don't know. And then if you read a great book, it's called Estrogen Matters. It's a really great book that outlines all of this and talks about how stupid some of the decisions they made were and how they made the decisions. So they actually released the findings before they allowed all of the doctors who were involved in the study to actually review their findings. When the doctors were actually allowed to review all the findings that this small committee made, they refuted them, but it was too late. It was already published. And that was the problem. Now, how are you going to take that back? How are you going to take what you said back? And I think there's a lot of pride and other things in this. So, you have to just trust me when I say it's the dumbest thing that's happened in medicine, because not only the mental health issues, the cognitive decline, the heart attacks, the, nights of no sleep, the nights and the life that you've missed because you weren't present with your children while you were going through this, state. And I'll tell you what, there's some women that breeze right through it. And actually there's some women that ask me, well, I don't need hormone replacement therapy. I'm not having hot flashes, night sweats, or mood swings. I feel totally fine. But you're like, but your brain, your bones, and your heart are not, no matter who you are, even if you breeze through some of the quality of life metrics. But 60% plus of women don't breeze right through those. And there are some massive life changes that happen during that period of time.
Let's go to this in wrapping. Worldview, that's a wrong website. Worldviewvitamins.com is what we need. Worldviewvitamins.com. Can you, let's take just one of these so we don't confuse everybody. Mm-hmm. Which one should they go to now dealing with what you're talking about? Obviously, they need to get hormones.
Yeah. Yeah, get your hormones.
Okay. So
go to a provider who knows how to prescribe them. And, again, this is not medical advice. This is just information. I will tell you what I personally use is a estradiol patch, 0.375 milligrams twice a week. I just peel it off and peel it back on, super easy, on my, on my buttock or on my front abdomen. And I take progesterone. There's a difference between progesterone and progestin. Progestin is the fake progesterone. Don't take that. That's not the one that you want. That's the one that's harmful. Progesterone is the bioidentical version, and you want to take between 100 and 150 milligrams of that. Now, any provider who has done any sort of upper level master classes will know how to prescribe your hormones. Now, in addition to that, a diet that's low in sugar, and one of the biggest things you can do to decrease night hot flashes right away is don't eat 3 hours before bed, and your last meal of the day should be a protein, vegetables, and healthy fat. No simple sugars. Just doing those two little things, stopping eating 3 hours before bed and being mindful of having a very low glycemic dinner. That will help reduce hot flashes significantly. Going on hormones, and again, this is what I'm doing. And then the other thing I do, because I want good bone health, there's a women's plus 50 pack, foundational pack. It has 5 key supplements in it. One is a really good multivitamin with all of the B's and minerals and things like that, which we should all be on. The second is a really good omega-3 fish oil, which again, anti-inflammatory, good for your heart, so many other things, good for a good estrogen conversion, all sorts of healthy benefits for omega-3. We all need them. A large percentage of my patients are off on their omega-3 to omega-6 index. One of the best ways to balance those inflammatory oils with the non-inflammatory omega-3s is to increase your omega-3 intake. So really vital. That's why we put it in every single pack. And then we combined vitamin D, which is really important for so many things, including your immune system and insulin sensitivity, just so many, over 300 enzyme reactions, that and the magnesium. But we combined it with K2 to decrease bone. Believe it or not, it is really good for your bone and your health, heart health, to add the K2 in it. So it's a really good, solid, highly available supplement. And then there's also the calcium. That's a special calcium that's mixed with other minerals that help with bone matrix. So it's not just depositing calcium in the bones, but it's actually helping with the bone matrix, which we have found in studies to be more beneficial than just taking plain calcium. And of course, the magnesium. The magnesium is a special one that has 2 different forms of magnesiums that help with sleep and muscle recovery. That's another thing that happens, Brandon, with menopausal women, is their muscle mass just starts going down, and that is not okay. Because that increases your risk of falls and injuries and so many things. But lack of muscle is a very aging process. So we want to make sure we maintain muscle mass, but the magnesium will help with muscle recovery and sleep, and also is very gentle on your stomach, which most magnesiums are very harsh on your gut.
So you right now recommend that one pack, or for the topic we're talking about with women, this is the one pack you recommend right now.
Yes. So that's what all my women who are on hormone replacement therapy are also taking, the foundational plus 50 pack.
Okay, worldviewvitamins.com, worldviewvitamins.com. Big story today and this week, and now we have brought you a great broadcast. And after we go off the air tonight, it'll be loaded up at worldviewtube.com, but also loop in our health channel, Worldview Health Channel. You can go and watch that at worldviewtube.com, which I think is also worldviewtube.com/health, worldviewtube.com/health. It's a 24-hour-a-day health channel where we're airing all kinds of great interviews continually, like with Dr. Mishima, like you just saw now. But when it goes up online tomorrow at worldviewtube.com, you might want to grab the URL and send it around to all your friends so they can get the truth, all right? And then get the vitamins. Tell your family and friends about these vitamins that are made fresh. For most of the vitamins people are taking are junk. They've already aged out. They're sitting on the shelf. They have no value. They run right through you. These are made to order, so they stay fresh. And she rejects about 40% of the vitamins because they cannot have any contaminants. Do I have all that right?
The raw material. Yeah, we don't even use it. We don't even let it into the facility. So, yeah.
Excellent.
It's a pretty big process. The biggest thing you want to know is we have a certificate of analysis with every single one of our supplements, every single one, even the multivitamin, the K2, it doesn't matter. Every single one, every single batch has a certificate of analysis. And what that means is we do a in-house study of random, after everything's in a bottle and everything, we take 3 bottles off the shelf in-house and we check to make sure it's pure, clean, really what's in there is supposed to be in there, all that kind of, so the quality, all these different quality measures. But we also have a third-party system that actually does the same thing with every single one of our supplements. We actually had a patient complain that the supplements are a little expensive, and these are her words, but she's going to keep getting them because they're working. And you know what? They do work. And I'm sorry, they are a little bit pricier than the ones that you would buy over the counter, but you know what? You get what you pay for. And if you're going to put something in your body hoping for something good to happen, then you may as well put the best that I personally know of. As a physician who sees really complex patients, then why would you not want to use that? If I could use whatever I want, why would I not use the best? So.
Worldviewvitamins.com, Dr. Bashima Williams, part of our broadcast team here. Thank you, Doc.
Thanks, Brandon. Take care.
Thank you. And I should be getting my blood tested soon. We found the place to do it. I just got to now take the time to go over there and let them drain my blood. Yeah. And then you can tell me. Then you can tell me what's wrong with me or how I've only have weeks to live or whatever it is you're going to tell me.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to see it. And I know everyone can't wait to see it. So, all right.
Sounds good. Thanks. Dr. Bashima checking in. All right, guys, that's our broadcast for tonight. Roll the music. Let's call it a night. Let's go to the Dolly cam. Dolly, you ready to call it a night? Huh? Oh, look at that. You're looking at yourself on the television, aren't you? That's you. Dolly. You ready to call it a night? Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, you're looking at yourself, aren't you? You sure are. That dog is on Gatatana every day. You know the word dog, don't you? That dog is on Gatatana every day. You can get it for your dog, your pet, at melissahousegpa.com. Oh, yeah, she's tired. All right, may God save America. Take care.
Faith, spiritual value.